Welcome, Fundis, to another installment of Funda Chat. Today we're graced with Naseelah, who's an OT at Funda Medical, and she's assisting us with the cerebral palsy rehabilitation. Welcome, Naseelah.
Thank you so much, Frank.
Thank you for accommodating us, and I'm looking forward to chatting to you and hearing your role in the whole cerebral palsy rehabilitation.
And thanks for having me. Shall we get into it?
Yes. So, as an occupational therapist, um, how do you fall into the process? What do you do in terms of treatment for this young lady that we're assisting?
Yes, that's actually quite a good question. So, occupational therapy is looking at any functional limitations that the patient may have. This is quite a common condition that and diagnosis that people deal with. However, not many people know about it or know how to deal with it. So our main focus would go into actually determine any functional limitations that they have, any adaptations that we can make that might impact on their daily activities or the daily tasks that they do, anything that limits them from engaging in work or school, whatever age they are. So essentially, that's what occupational therapy is. It's a holistic model to try and determine what are the challenges here and how can we remove any barriers to these challenges as best as we can.
Okay, and then does the age matter of the claimant? So when they come to you at 4 years old and when they're coming to you at 13, does it make a difference to your approach in how you are treating them?
Yes, definitely. We find that as early as you do have the diagnosis, you should actually come for occupational therapy. Basically, the earlier the better. The reason that I say so is because if you leave something for a longer period, then you'll often find that the condition or the diagnosis progresses, and the person actually ends up with any deformities or something a bit more permanent that will be harder to fix and harder to correct.
Okay.
Remember that with cerebral palsy, or CP for an abbreviation, what the focus is to actually assist in making sure that development happens at that stage. So if you wait until someone is 14 years old, to use your example, that means that all of the development that should have happened in the earlier years hasn't happened. And so when you're working with someone at the age of 14, they are far bigger, they are far less underdeveloped. They've missed 14 years of treatment, making it a lot harder to undo or to try and work on any limitations that they end up presenting with at that age.
Okay, so like them developing curvature of the spine or rigor in the wrists and things like that, those could have been improved, maybe not taken away completely, but definitely improved if they came, for example, since they were 4 years old.
Yes, definitely. So you used curvature of the spine. What we want to do there is at the stage where it hasn't curved, we want to provide a supportive tool, if necessary, to make sure that it maintains its alignment. So
Okay.
if it is the wrist, we also want to make sure that we maintain the range or the position of the wrist to avoid it from actually moving in a pattern that we don't want.
Okay.
If you leave the pattern to develop, it can end up where they need surgery to relieve it or to release it. We want to try and avoid that because surgery also carries risks. It's quite expensive as well.
Mm.
So the main point is to maintain and develop any areas that we can develop as they progress or as they come up.
Okay. And the treatment that you provide and in this process, it's not just for the claimant as I understand it. You're also teaching or training the parents and the caregivers also on what their involvement should be with the treatment. Is that correct?
Um, Partly, because another thing is that each individual comes in and they have their own experiences, they have their own routines, they have their own lifestyle patterns. The intention isn't to go into the environment and say, no, this is what should be done. This is what you should do in the morning. This is what you should do in the afternoon, and so on.
Okay.
It's more finding out, okay, what is your day like? What are your responsibilities as the mother or the caregiver? Um, Within that, can we see if we can find something that works for both the patient and for you? Because another thing to consider is that it is quite a lot of work for the caregiver or the mother to take on all of these responsibilities and tasks. You need to make sure that you work with them to fit something within their schedule, as opposed to giving them something completely new.
Okay.
You also need to remember that you are working with an adult. You can't sort of change their complete routine or what they want for themselves. You need to work with them to see what works for both them and the patient and the entire project, to see what is best, how can it work, what will make you remain motivated in doing this daily, as
Yes.
opposed to completely scrapping it off and saying, no, whatever you're doing, it's not working for us, let's change it completely. I think that if you work with them based on what they do and find something that works for them, it actually motivates them to continue doing what they do daily on a day-to-day basis.
Now that makes sense because I mean, if I take myself, we've got three boys in the house, and after all the activities and so on, it's now 6 o'clock in the evening, and if we had to have a child that had some sort of disability, or even take it as far as a CP child, um, having to assist with the physio portions of it or the exercises that you need to do, like stretching the hands and giving some mobility and extension. I can see how that might be very exhausting, and where the demotivation can come in because I'm tired of my own job that I've just completed, and I've got two other kids to look after, and then I've got now this child that I need to spend probably about an hour, hour and a half in terms of mobility exercises. So that definitely makes sense. And
Hmm. Sorry, can
yes,
I
carry.
interrupt you there?
Yeah.
So, yes, definitely. But I think that there is some bias here because I am an OT.
Mm.
But basically, that's what I love about my profession is that it's also finding ways that we can do those exercises while you're already doing something.
Okay.
Okay, so you bathing the child. While you bathing, let's add some stretching in there. Like while you feeding the child, let's do something of this here. Let's try and stimulate some of this, movement or this motion over here. So it can fit into your day as opposed to me saying, okay, twice a day you need to do this exercise, and, like separate from all of the additional responsibilities that you have. We can fit it into what you already do so that it doesn't
Okay.
feel like an additional task that you need to find time for in your day to actually complete.
Okay, that's very clever and it makes sense. I can see how that can help in that situation. And then throughout the process, how have you found the process? Like having all your colleagues and in one facility. Has it made your tasks easier? Has it made the rehabilitation a bit more, not streamlined, but easier for you and the claimant and maybe even the parents?
Yes, definitely. I love working in an MDT or multidisciplinary team. Yeah. But basically, I love having my other professionals in the room because while I'm working on something, I can ask someone to position for me. If I want to achieve one objective, I have that support, and we're all working together to achieve something which is quite similar. So, for example, if I want to focus on stimulating vision, I can have the physio facilitate that positioning for me. And if I need some sound in it, then I can have the speech and language therapist or audiologist present as well. She can do the sound element of it as well. So it's quite nice to have one another in that environment because we're all working toward the same objective, but we all have different roles that we play. And it's especially nice to have the parents in the same room because you can also inform them or show them, look, this is how we're doing this, so that they can also see if they'd like to carry that on at home. It's quite nice for them as well because they see how it's actively done and actually done so that they can continue that at home.
Yeah.
But yes, I love the convenience of having this facility and environment available. So yeah.
And in terms of the the overall process with Karen and Michelle, um, how have you found the communication and the facilitation of that?
Really good as well. Michelle is nice because she does all of the arrangement, the organization, ensuring that we all aligned and what the time is, what works for everybody. Karen as well, she does all of the, okay, this is what we need for this individual, or this is the challenge that we're facing at present, or any updates that we need. But yes, I like the approach where we are all available. We have a WhatsApp group. It's quite helpful as well because if something comes up or if someone can't make it on time, we have that group to notify one another of our challenges or any respective issues that occur. But yes, it's quite nice to have the big team all working together.
That's fantastic. And then, in terms of the quality of life of these claimants, how do you see the rehabilitation fitting in with that? Do you think it has a significant impact, especially considering you have all these people um, involved at the same time?
Yes, so what we often do is also try and involve the family in the session. We want to find out what challenges are they having at home. What challenges are they noticing that comes up in their daily life taking care of the patient? And that can give us an idea of where we can start. So, for instance, in one of our sessions, we found out that positioning was quite a challenge. That gave us our first focus. Let's work on positioning. And okay, pants seem to be an issue to put on, or tops, because the arms are quite stiff. What other methods can we use to do the dressing? And it's quite motivating for the family because they are actually working on reducing the challenges that they have in their daily life. We can actually focus on what they need out of the session as well. It isn't solely what we think is a priority, because what we think is a priority and what they actually need assistance with, those are two different things. So we can achieve both. We can work on what they need, and we can integrate or include or introduce any of our objectives as well. As we work through both, they feel motivated, we get our objectives done.
That's so good
So,
to
yeah.
hear. So basically, you're not only improving the quality of the claimant, but also those people that are supporting them. Because obviously, they, like you said, they coming at maybe 14 years old, but and they've been struggling with it for 14 years, but now at least dealing with the professional team, then you guys have the experience to be able to say, but I know you're struggling with this. Try this. This may be a lot easier. And in so doing, if it does ease their life, it improves their quality of life. So
Yes,
that's
definitely.
quite good.
And also, whenever they come back, we also get feedback from them. Okay, we spoke about this last week. How did that go? And they can come back and give you feedback. Yes, it worked for us, or oh, yes, it actually improved it. It's becoming so much easier. Or oh, no, that wasn't working for us. It's still a bit of a challenge, and we can
Yeah.
change it because at the end of the day, we aren't at home with them, watching them, or seeing where the challenges occur. So it needs to be collaboration between us and them.
Okay.
If something works, great. If it doesn't, what else can we try to make it easier? Because I'm sure you do know it is quite distressing to have most of your day taken to, I mean, taking care of
Mm.
somebody. You also want to ensure that you are focusing on making things easier, and um, you want to assist the caregivers as much as you can.
Yes. No, that makes sense. Naseelah, thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it. And folks, there you have it. Um, that's the role of the occupational therapist in the cerebral palsy rehabilitation. And stay tuned in. Keep your eyes out for the next podcast, and share and like, and keep these moving. Thank you.